The Grand Assembly Hall of Station Zenith floated in neutral space, equidistant from all major galactic powers. Its crystalline walls refracted the light of a dozen nearby stars, creating a kaleidoscope of colors that was meant to symbolize unity and harmony. Today, however, the atmosphere inside was anything but harmonious. Ambassador Hermione Chen straightened her dark blue uniform as the human delegation's shuttle docked with the station. Beside her, Neo Martinez checked his datapad one final time, reviewing the briefing materials about the 17 alien species they were about to meet. First Contact Peace Summit, Neo muttered, his fingers drumming nervously against the device. No pressure, Hermione smiled slightly. We've prepared for this. Just remember, smile, be polite, and don't mention the war. Which war? Neo raised an eyebrow. Any of them. The airlock hissed open, and they stepped into a corridor that seemed to stretch into infinity. The gravity was slightly lighter than Earth standard, making each step feel bouncy and uncertain. They were guided by a floating drone toward the central chamber, where the Galactic Council awaited. As the doors slid open, Hermione felt every alien eye in the room turn toward them. The chamber was enormous, with representatives from species she'd only seen in briefing videos. The insectoid Zurichs clicked their mandibles nervously. The gelatinous coral rippled in their containment suits. The tall, elegant Viridians stood like living trees, their bark-like skin shimmering. But what struck Hermione most was the sudden silence, and the fear in their eyes. "Greetings," she said warmly, raising her hand in what she hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "On behalf of humanity and Earth, we thank you for inviting us to this historic summit." The coral representative, Ambassador Glubnex, quivered violently. They brought 2 of them. It translated through its device, the voice barely a whisper. Neo leaned toward Hermione. "Is it just me, or do they look terrified?" Before she could respond, the Zrix delegate stood abruptly, their exoskeleton clicking rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation that Hermione recognized from her studies. "Honored humans," the Zrix began, their translator struggling to keep up with their rapid speech. "We meant no disrespect by the size of this chamber. We simply wanted you to feel comfortable, not confined." Hermione exchanged a confused glance with Neo. "The chamber is perfect, thank you. Quite spacious." A collective exhale seemed to ripple through the room. The Viridian representative, whose name translated to something like Whisper of Ancient Canopies, leaned forward with their branch-like appendages. "You are not offended. You do not feel this is an attempt to intimidate you with our numbers? Intimidate us?" Neo couldn't hide his surprise. "There are only 30 of you. We expected a full council." The gelatinous form of Glubnex wobbled dangerously. "Only 30? By the old stars, they consider 30 armed delegations to be only armed?" Hermione interrupted, genuinely confused now. "Ambassador, none of us are armed. It would be a grave insult to bring weapons to a peace summit." The Zrix delegate's mandibles froze mid-click. "Not armed? But you are Deathworlders. You evolved on a Class 12 death planet. Surely you carry weapons at all times for protection against your environment?" Understanding began to dawn on Hermione's face. She'd read the reports about how other species viewed Earth, but she hadn't realized the extent of their misconceptions. "Ambassador," she said gently, sitting down at the human delegation's designated spot, which she now realized was positioned with clear sight lines to all exits and was reinforced beyond what seemed necessary. "I think we need to clear up some misunderstandings." Neo caught on quickly. He pulled up a holographic display from his datapad. "Let me guess. You've heard Earth has 12 types of weather that can kill you, gravity that would crush most species, and atmosphere that's basically corrosive poison to silicon-based life?" The silence was deafening. "That's not inaccurate," Whisper of Ancient Canopies admitted carefully. Hermione leaned back, trying to appear as non-threatening as possible. "Yes, Earth is challenging, but we're not warriors by nature. We're here for peace, for trade, for friendship." "But the reports," Glubnex burbled. "They said humans have something called persistence hunting, that you can chase prey for days until it dies of exhaustion, that you can survive injuries that would kill any of us 3 times over, that you have redundant organs and your bones are stronger than our construction materials. Your muscles operate on controlled explosions," the Zurix added, their voice tinged with what might have been awe or horror. "Explosions? To move your limbs?" Neo blinked. I mean, technically yes, but when you put it that way, and you produce toxins in your mouth to break down food. Another delegate interjected, acid! You bathe your food in acid before consuming it. It's called saliva, Hermione said weakly. It's really not that dramatic. Not dramatic? A small, furry delegate that Hermione hadn't noticed before stood up, trembling. Your planet is infested with creatures you keep as companions despite them being apex predators. These dogs and cats that could easily kill most of us. Mr. Whiskers wouldn't hurt a fly, Neo protested. Well, actually, he would hunt flies, but okay, I see how that sounds. Hermione stood slowly, raising both hands in a calming gesture. The entire council tensed, and she immediately sat back down. Perhaps we should start over. Yes, humans are durable. Yes, Earth is harsh by galactic standards, but that doesn't make us aggressive. If anything, growing up in such a challenging environment taught us cooperation, empathy, and the value of peace. She gestured to Neo. We didn't conquer Earth through violence alone. We survived through community, through taking care of each other, through building societies that could weather any storm. Neo nodded enthusiastically. Exactly. We learned that working together is better than fighting. That's why we're here. Not to intimidate or conquer, but to join the galactic community. Whisper of ancient canopies swayed thoughtfully. Then the stories of humans throwing themselves in front of danger to save strangers are probably true, Hermione admitted. We value life, all life. That's why we risked everything to come here, to prove that humans want peace. Slowly, gradually, the tension in the room began to ease. Glubnecks rippled, and what their file indicated was laughter. By the cosmic currents, we prepared for Death World conquerors, and instead we get diplomats who think 30 delegates is a small group. The Zrix clicked what might have been amusement. Perhaps we judged too quickly. Though you must understand, your reputation preceded you. Our reputation needs work, Neo grinned. How about we start fixing it over dinner? I promise our food isn't that terrifying. Does it contain capsaicin? The furry delegate asked nervously. The compound you consume for pleasure that causes chemical burns. Hermione and Neo exchanged glances. This was going to be a long summit. We'll skip the hot sauce, Hermione promised, and for the first time since arriving, she heard something that sounded like relieved laughter echoing through the chamber. The peace talks had begun, and humanity had just learned their most valuable lesson about galactic diplomacy. Sometimes the scariest thing about humans was how little they realized they were scary at all.